All praises, all honor, all glory be unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakal Kodash. Double honors to the apostle elders of Great Millstone that rule well. Peace and salutation to Allah Hakim doing and pushing his word in sincerity and truth worldwide, and a sincere shalom to the elect. I want to get into this little lesson here, sick, people mad out, okay? They got those demons on them. So this woman here, she offline her kid, then watch TikTok and porn, okay? This is, bizarre behavior coming from Jake. But we know, hey, those are demons plaguing Jake. That's a part of the curses, man. Okay? As a matter of fact, the scriptures tell you that, and that's how we become so low. How's the gold become dim? How's the most fine gold change? The stones of the sanctuary are poured out in the top of every street, okay? How are people become so low, man? All right? We're in a low position right now, man. We're the off corner of the world, man. We're at the bottom, But this is a part of the curses. This is part of the conditions, man. Going back to Deuteronomy chapter, 28, 15, and then 16. Lord said if you do these things, you'll be good. But if you don't, all these curses going to apply to you. And I think it's 53 when you do the math, right? In Deuteronomy plus. So shit, man. But anyways, we know the scriptures tell you, Job chapter 4 and 7, remember I pray thee, whoever perished being innocent, or where was the righteous cut off? Okay? So, she may, some people may see it and say, it's a little baby, so on and so forth, right? But you paying for the sins of your past life in this life, okay? So that's why the scriptures say, whoever perished being innocent. So you never know, say that baby could have done triple worse, But the point is, demons, our people are having some bizarre behavior, They got demons on them, okay? And another thing, too, I want to point out, too, is, every chocolate, Jake, Israel ain't going to be, like the black Israelites. All Jake ain't going to be chocolatey brown, all right? Going to be different shades. We all know who the majority is, but when we look at this woman, she could be a tear, okay? She could be very well a tear, all right? And I'll put the description up so you can, see the whole thing, Watch the whole thing for yourself, But yeah, Florida mom watched TikToks, porn while baby suffer concussion. Okay, the baby was dying, man. This woman just went and watched some porn. Right? Crazy, man. Crazy behavior. Okay, sick. Woman offline her kid, then watch TikTok and porn. Okay? And it's part of the curses too. Remember in Deuteronomy, like I said, Deuteronomy chapter 28 from the 15th, what? But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of Yahweh thy power, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Okay? And it goes through the curses, right? So this is part of the curses. This is part of the condition, man. All right? And as things get closer and closer to Yahushai's return, things are going to get mad, like Mad Max days, man. Things are going to get even more wilder. In fact, the scriptures tell you that evil shall grow upon the earth. Okay? 2 Ezra chapter 14 and 14. Let go from thee mortal thoughts. Cast off the burdens of man. Put off now the weak nature, and set aside the thoughts that are most heavy unto thee, and haste thee to flee from these times. For yet greater evils than those which thou hast seen happen shall be done hereafter. See that? So things you see now, in that day, this is going to be full blown. Okay? Verse 17, for look how much the world shall be weaker through age, so much the more evil shall increase upon them that dwell therein. For the time is fled far away, and leasing is hard at hand. For now hasten the vision to come, which thou hast seen. That's why he said, woe is me, who will deliver me in those days, man? So all the things that you're seeing now is not to compare to the things that are coming down the pipe, man. And the things that are coming down the pipe ain't nice. But you see our people are bugging out more and more because they're rejecting their power. Okay, they're rejecting Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Right? So let me go into this real quick. Deuteronomy chapter 28 and 28. Yahweh shall smite thee with madness and blindness and astonishment of heart. Right? Blindness. You don't even know who your power is. You out here loving your oppressor. Right? An astonishment of heart, meaning of the mind. And what? I'll smite thee with madness. Craziness of the mind, man. Okay? As a matter of fact, hold up. Put that real quick. Bug out, you know? Just retrograde. Void of understanding, man. Madness, craziness of the mind, man. Okay? So, let me get back into this now. So yeah, she you know, beat up the baby. Probably got pissed off because the baby father or some shit, you know. Probably look on the baby and say, yo, the baby look like the father, and say, yo, tired of this picnic crying and so on and so forth. Can't go to my clubs, wear my G-strings and my funky hair and thing and so on and so forth. And she just flipped out, you know. And these people don't have a connection with their power. Their spiritual and biblical cord is severed, right? They don't even know who they are. They think they're Black American. They think they're African American. You know, all types of shit, right? Bywords, covering cast, right? They're lost. And that's a curse that the Lord put on them, man. Let's go to Genesis chapter 3 and go to verse 12. And the man said, the woman whom thou givest to be with me, she gave me of the tree, and I did eat. And Yahweh Power said unto the woman, what is this, Salakia, that thou hast done? And the woman said, the serpent beguiled me, and I did eat. The beguiling. Let me go into that real quick. She said the serpent beguiled her. Okay, because why? She's the weaker vessel. Okay? She's the weaker vessel. Okay? And Satan leaps on them. Very easy. Okay? Going back to the serpent beguiled me, but it's not going to go into it. Yeah, beguiled, deceive. Okay? Lying. Okay? And that's how Esau is. He's a liar. Okay? That's his spirit right there. The liar, the crooked serpent. All right? So going back into this. Let me see here. Let me go straight to the point. And unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. Okay? And she was the weaker vessel. This is why she got, as they would say, you're tripping over your own shoelace. Okay? As it tells you right here in 1 Peter chapter 3 and 7. Likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge, giving honor unto the wife as unto the weaker vessel, and as being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers be not hindered. Okay? The main point, she's the weaker vessel. Okay? It's easy for them spirits to just leap on them. That's why they're all over the place, man. You see when they get their period and the moon and so on and so forth, yeah, these girls turn crazy. Okay? And if you're a man that dealing with women for a long time, I'm, over 30 years with this one, 31 years. I know, I study, okay? And then plus I have 2 daughters. So I know, how it is. You know what I mean? And plus growing up, seeing my aunts and women in general, you know that they're flipped, they're not sturdy. when it comes to making decisions, they ain't the one to be making them, man. Sure, they could go even, actually, fuck, you can't even say that. Going to the store and buying something. They go to the store with a set list. All of a sudden, they come back with 100 items. So, they're the weaker vessel. Bottom line, period. All right? This is why going back into Genesis chapter what? 3 and 1. And you know, some guys don't like to hear this, but more than likely, those guys were just raised by their mamas. They're emotional men. Okay? Bitch-made men. Like we say, simps. Hey, I can't talk to a woman like, hey, I can't talk. Simps, man. They don't know what's going on. They didn't even know how to spell Israelite if it depended on their life. They don't know how to spell Yahweh or Yahushua if it depended on their life. Genesis chapter 3 and 1. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, which Yahweh power had made. And he said unto the woman, Yea, have God said, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden? And the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat the fruit, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God has said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. Okay? So, the serpent was a trickster, okay? Because when you go into that word serpent there, it goes into like an enchanter. Yeah, let me go into it real quick. So this man already knew, okay? Slakia, where am I there? Let's go. Oh, we're already there. Nakash goes into serpent. We go on the root word here. Practice divination, observing of signs. That's not a fucking snake. Snakes don't observe. Snakes observe your heat pattern. Okay, I got snakes. I know about snakes. For years, I've had snakes. Okay, well, actually, I got rid of them at a certain point. But I used to have a business with snakes, spiders, tarantulas, fucking leopard geckos, Chinese water dragons. You name it. As long as it was in the reptile world, yeah, my hands probably had one. Okay, so they're not into looking into the moon and stars, and you know, they're not into that stuff. Okay, they're into getting their food. Okay, to observe the signs or omens, prognosticator, enchanter. Okay, so you know that this person was not, or this, as it says, serpent here was not an actual serpent, okay? And when he cursed the serpent and said, on thy belly shall thou go, okay? Thus you shall consume. Let me go back here real quick. The curse above all field of battle on belly shall thou go, and dust shall eat all the days of life. It's going into confusion, man, okay? Snakes don't eat fucking dust, okay? Hey, I'm doing something here. Hush up. Hey, sit down. Go over there, man. So yeah, they don't eat no dust. Okay. But yeah, going back into them being the weaker vessel, as it says here in 13, she said, and the woman said, the serpent beguiled me, and I did eat, because why? She's the weaker vessel. Come here. Hey. Up here. Slakia. So yeah, let's get back into this. This is why it was so easy for the serpent to catch her, okay? But let's get back into this. Let's go to 1 Timothy. Is it 2 and 14? Yep. Let's start at 13. Okay. 1 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 13. For Adam was first formed, then Eve. And Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived but it's like, yeah, and Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in the transgression. That's why, going back into Genesis 3:1, he went to the woman because she was what? Of the weaker vessel. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, which the Lord God, which Yahweh power had made. And he said unto the woman, he didn't go to Adam, okay? He didn't go to Adam. He went to the woman. He knew where to go, to the weaker vessel, okay? So, going back into that, the woman was deceived, okay? She was the weaker vessel. This is why, in this time here, hey man, look at that one. Where her name? Bonnie Blue. Sick. Now I think she's got a baby and she's trying to do some kind of world record again. Sick, man. Okay? That's why you can't put these women in a position of power because they're weak. Okay? They're weak. They can't make decisions. All right? When it comes to decision making, they are weak. And women will tell you that too. That's why you gotta watch out for these simps, going off their emotions. Because they're raised by the mamas. Okay? And they've drunken of that philosophy of this world. Job chapter 39 and verse 16. She is hardened against her young ones as though they were not hers. Her labor is in vain without fear, because Yahweh had deprived her of wisdom, neither have he imparted to her understanding. The man is supposed to guide the household, man. You men out there are supposed to have understanding. You men are supposed to be ruling your household, running your household. But here it is, you running back every week, kissing your damn woman's feet. More than likely, she got 300 different dudes on Instagram, Snapchat, WhatsApp talking to them, being like a doorknob, getting a twist here and there. The dudes getting a twist here and there, I remember in Sopranos, fucking Christopher Maltasanti, his girl, she started to fall for Tony, wanted to go for Tony, right? And that shows you, women are attracted to power. Like Apostle Elder Gabar always says, women are attracted to power. Young men, listen. And it's true, right? But the point being is that you men, you're supposed to be guiding the household. You're supposed to have that knowledge, wisdom, understanding, okay, from Yahweh Bashim El Shai, from on high. Don't let them rule over you. Are you crazy? Okay? That's pure confusion right there. This is why it said in Jeremiah that a new thing shall compass the earth, a woman, roughly phrasing, shall compass a man, right? So going back into it, she's hardened against her young ones, yeah, as though they were not hers. You see, when you watch this, you'll see what that woman did, man. And then on top of that, to go sit back and just, she's probably smoking and all that stuff, drinking, sitting there relaxing. And then they're getting their rocks off on 30 different porn sites, man. Holy shit. That's demons, man. That's clearly demons, okay? And this is all part of curses, man. Her labor is in vain without fear, because Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, have deprived her of wisdom. Who has the wisdom, man? The man's supposed to have the wisdom. Neither have he imparted to her understanding, okay? And right there, too, they don't have the fear, like, these 2/3, these women especially, they don't have the fear of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai upon them, man. Because remember, the beginning of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding cometh with that fear, all right? But this is sick, man. It shows it shows who's really, under those curses. Going back into how the dims become gold, the goals become dim, man. Deuteronomy chapter 4 or 6, it tells us that all these nations shall look upon us because of these laws, statutes, and commandments that we have, man. and be in awe, you know. But guess what? You know, we in the condition we're in. This is part of the you know, battleground, part of the conditions, man. Lamentations chapter 4 and verse 3. Even the sea monsters draw out the breasts. They give suck to their young ones. The daughter of my people is become cruel like the ostrich in the wilderness. And the ostrich in the wilderness will lay an egg and then step back on it. You know, step on it like, oops, you know. So, you know, this is part of the curses that come upon us, man. You know, our women are distraught, the men are distraught, you know, the children are all over the fucking place. No order, out of order, okay? And a nation that's out of order, guess what, man? That's your demise, that's your destruction, okay? And we weren't set for destruction, but because we move Yahweh to wrath. That's why we're in this situation. We should have listened from the jump, you know? But it is what it is. This is the conditions of the battlefield. Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 56. The tender and delicate woman among you, which would not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground for the delicateness and tenderness, her eyes shall be evil toward the husband of her bosom, and toward her son, which this woman offlined her son, and toward her daughter. And you have many cases of these women, you know, the Judite woman or even Benjaminite or even Northern Kingdom, just off in both kids, you know, both sides, girl or boy, because the father's not there in the life and there's no order, okay? Just set for destruction. And like we say, we go back in the scriptures and we tell you, you know, Job 4 and 7, you know, it all has a role to play. But it's just, damn, man, you know. And toward her daughter, and toward the young one that cometh out from beneath her feet, the baby, you know, and toward her children, which she shall bear, for she shall eat them for the want of all things secretly in the siege and straits. And we know that happened. You know, there was a lady, two women that had made a pledge together to boil. They're going to eat their kids, okay? I can't remember what chapter that was. Yeah, and the one woman went and complained, right? So, you know, our people are so stupid too. We didn't do that. Watch. Remember going back into 2nd Ezra, chapter 14. We see now, even what has happened ain't gonna be nothing to be compared to what's happening, man. Go read Daniel chapter 12 and 1. You know, if you ain't in the know, in that day you will be. Wherewith thine enemy shall distress thee in thy gates. So yeah, you know, this is part of the curses. This is part of the battlefield, the conditions of the battlefield. You know, but this is just sick, man. Okay, and this is why we keep telling you, Jakes, yo, turn to your power. But you don't want to turn to your power because, first of all, you come in the mindset of Pharaoh. Who is this Yahweh that I must obey his voice? That's Exodus chapter 5 and verse 2. Okay? So you don't even have the fear of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai upon you. You know, you actually cursing. You think you cursing out men, but you actually cursing out Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Because those men were set there. We were set there from Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai to give you this word. Starting with our apostle elders on down. You know, and their elders before them. You know, starting from Alva Bivens. Starting from way back. Jeremiah was at 28 and 8. Every single kingdom, you've been given warning, man. You know? And you're going to have to taste that final judgment, man. You know, that second death. This is why we pray to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai that we're not, you know, a part of y'all. That 2/3 number. So yeah, this is just sick, man. This is sick. Okay? So anyways, with that, you know, hey, come here. Salakia, Akim, Salakia. Alright, go calm down. Calm down. So yeah, this is just sick, man. But like I said, part of the curse is part of the condition, you know. And in what was that, Revelation chapter 21, the Lord said He's gonna wipe away all tears. There'll be no more death, no more pain, no more sufferings. You know, we ain't gotta go through this ever again. You know, Yapa for that. And with that, all praises, all honor, all glory be unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakodash. Double honors to the apostle elders of great millstone that rule well. Peace and salutation to all the Akim doing it and pushing this word in sincerity and truth worldwide. And a sincere shalom to the elect. Hope you're edified. Lord willing, to the next time, Akim. Shalom and abad babam.